I'm sure you've heard the tale of Goldilocks and the three bears, right? Where Papa Bear's bed was too hard, Mum's was too soft, but the baby bear's was just right. Papa Bear's porridge was too hot, Mum's was too cold, the baby's was just right. That's how I would describe the S21 FE. Something that the baby bear would own. Just right. To further explain my analogy, the screen, not as mammoth as the Ultra 6.8-inch or the S21 Plus 6.7, and not as puny as the S21 at 6.2, but just right, the S21 FE has a 6.4-inch screen. Weight distribution for that matter, not as unwieldy as the S21 Ultra at 227 grams, and not as light as the S21 with a puny battery at 169 grams, but just right at 177 grams with a 4500 milliamperes battery. And this narrative kind of continues with performance, battery, cameras, everything. So let's kickstart with the positives. It's a 4500 milliamperes battery, which is just right, but it has a 120 Hz refresh rate screen, which does eat up on your battery because it's not adaptive. So I just use it on 60 Hz, and to be honest, I'm not left yearning for a high refresh rate because One UI is smooth AF and I just prefer better battery life. The form factor and weight distribution of this phone I think is one of its most positive attributes. A phone with a 4500 milliamperes battery this sleek is a marvel by itself. They've achieved this with the right choice of materials. It's not glass at the back, but it's this matte finish glasstic, which in my opinion I think Samsung has aced, and it's got an aluminium frame with Gorilla Glass Victus up in the front. Now this is one of the few phones that I'm using without a cover, without a skin, not even a tempered glass in the front. I'm just using it as naked as it can get. I've seen videos of people scrape Gorilla Glass Victus on rough surfaces and it does not get a scratch. I won't be doing that. However, this phone has suffered a fall on gravel and it's only got a minute discoloration on the aluminium frame and no scratches at all. So not cheap plastic, not heavy bulky glass, but this glasstic material in matte finish. Just right. It has an IP67 dust and water resistance rating. It comes with dual SIM support, comes in 128 gig variant, and like the one that I have, a 256 gig variant, because one thing it does not have is expandable memory. And while we're talking about things it does not have, it is also missing a headphone jack. When it comes to cameras, these cameras absolutely slap. There's nothing short of flagship quality. It has the golden trifecta of a main wide angle, a 3x telephoto, and an ultra wide camera. The main wide angle is a 12 megapixel f1.8. The 3x telephoto is an 8 megapixel f2.4, and the ultra wide is a 123 degree field of view 12 megapixel camera at f2.2. Now as always, I shoot with the same phone that I'm reviewing, and I'm currently shooting from that phone without any color correction, so it's straight out of the S21 FE, so you can be the judge of it. And just for the kicks of it, I'm not even shooting with the main camera, I'm shooting with the 3x telephoto, so I kind of get that little punched in frame with a little extra bokeh. And with a little bit of lighting and an audio, I think it's a solid camera system. And as I said, the golden trifecta, I don't think you need anything more apart from these three lenses. So no nonsense with macros, no nonsense with depth sensors, just what you need. A few miscellaneous things to mention: it does not have an ultrasonic fingerprint reader like its older brothers. It is optical, but it is surprisingly reliable. Even with moist mitts, sometimes it does not have a problem reading your fingerprints. I was quite surprised. I would go as far and say that it worked better than the physical fingerprint readers on the Pixels that I just reviewed. It's also placed further down on the screen, so it's easier to access. Now the S21 FE is powered by Samsung's Exynos 2100 processor, and for once, I'm not complaining because it does not have any of the heating issues its Snapdragon counterpart has. And in terms of processing power, not once did I ever think or yearn that I wish I had Qualcomm's offering instead. Another thing worth mentioning is it does have Samsung Pay, but it's missing the MST chip. So it's something that you could use on older card machines, which would mimic the Magna Strip on your credit card or debit card. This works on NFC, but it's not something you would miss because most card machines are now upgraded to contactless that use the NFC system. Now to sum it up, battery at 4500 milliamperes gives me a day to a day and a half with 6 to 7 hours of screen on time. Of course, use that 60 Hz, but that's all I need, just right. The trifecta of cameras that more than just do the job. No unwanted 2 megapixel macro cameras, no unwanted depth sensors, which I definitely don't miss because the focusing is very dependable. Just right. Build with Gorilla Glass Victus in the front, aluminium frame with this glasstic matte back, which makes the phone extremely light at 177 grams and very sleek at 7.9 millimeters. Just right. A flat 6.4 inch screen and not those curved screens with the Ultras, which I have no idea why Samsung still does, because a lot of people prefer flat screens over the curved displays. Charges by USB-C or wireless charging as well, or even has the ability to reverse wirelessly charge. Now this is something I absolutely use every day. Just to give you an example, I have a MacBook Air, the S21 FE and Jabra Elite 75Ts, all charged with the USB-C, so I just carry one adapter and one cable. But my work phone is an iPhone XR, and for that I used to have to carry a lightning cable. Not anymore. I just charge my iPhone XR wirelessly on my S21 FE, and that just does the job. It's made my traveling life so much more easier. Now in terms of pricing, the 128 gigs costs about 49,000, while the 256 gigs costs about 53,000 when you factor in a few sale prices and you work them in conjunction with any card offers. And at that price, this phone definitely gets all my recommendation. If I was forced to change one thing about this phone, I'd probably get it in an all matte black instead of a matte gray, and that's about it actually. This certainly is the Goldilocks story of phones. It's just right. I wouldn't change anything, because if you change a few things, you probably get the price higher, and I wouldn't want to do that. So this phone is just right. I'm definitely looking at dailying this phone at least for another year. I know that's a huge claim for me, but I'm pretty confident with how good this phone is. If you guys want to know how my experience is going, stay connected with me on my socials. I have my Twitter and Instagram links down in the description, so please feel free to follow me on those platforms. And as always, if you haven't subbed to the channel yet, I would really appreciate you do that too. And that's it from me. Stay safe, stay sane, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.